Welcome to 2024. Woo! Yes, another year. So, well, my name is Murillo. Oh, yeah, and we're live. So, Bart, good. We are live. We're live on YouTube. Actually, this is a thing now. We're doing it. So, welcome to Datatopics Unplugged. Casual, lighthearted, weekly, tentative weekly. Last week we weren't able to be here. We were still recovering from the holidays. Short discussion on what's new in data, from lawsuits to rabbits. Anything goes. We're on YouTube, as I mentioned. Live streaming Fridays at 4 p.m. So
This is the
check us
first
out.
time?
This is the second time officially we're live streaming, like live streaming. And then one time before that, we did a live stream, but we cheated a little bit. We did like a private live stream that we just made it public afterwards. We were too nervous. I still had gained some weight back then, so I had some time to cut it off. Today is the 12th of January of 2024. My name is Murillo. I'm your host for today. I'm joined by Bart.
Hi.
And I'm joined by Ben.
Hey.
So Ben,
Hi, Ben.
who's Ben? Ben is a data strategist here at Data Roots. He is a runner as well. He ran a marathon actually last year, 2023.
Indeed.
Okay. He's going to go to Tanzania, and he's a proud Rootsy Award winner. Yes. Yeah, we're here with a winner, Bart.
It's so random when you say he's going to Tanzania.
Yeah, I know. Maybe the context here for everyone is I demanded fun facts, and Ben is not fun. So the best thing you
I'm
can
not
come up
fun.
with.
It's true. I don't have fun facts.
The best thing you can come up with is I travel. It's like, okay.
And a marathon.
Yeah, and a marathon.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. Have you ever run a marathon, Bart?
It's an extremely long time ago.
Yeah, but you ran a lot.
But I registered for the 2025
In Leuven.
marathon, and it's going to sound very impressive, for the European Championships. But everybody can participate. But it's going to be in Leuven.
You don't need to say that. Just say you're going for the European Championships. People are gonna
That would
assume
sound
things,
very cool,
and then
yeah.
you just don't correct them.
It's
Not
right,
lying,
yeah.
So
I'm going to
that's-
do it as well. I
Oh,
think,
you're also going to the championships.
Oh,
some
wow.
4 or 5 people from Data Roots will join. It's
Yeah.
really cool. They opened up for the first time
That's
indeed
cool,
for recreative runners.
Ah,
It's
cool.
going from Brussels to Leuven, so back to our home base. So it's quite nice.
Wow. Okay. So you couldn't think of that as a fun fact?
Well,
Okay, so maybe let's change. Ben is just not very quick on his feet. He's fun, but all right. And well, maybe Ben, is there anything else you'd like to introduce yourself?
I've been here for about 2 years now, working as a data strategist indeed. I love topics like data strategy, data governance, everything which is about data, but more on the strategic side, not too technical. So yeah.
Cool. And how's everyone's break? Christmas, New Year's, anything fun? Any cool gifts you would like to share with the internet?
It was fun. A lot of festivities. Think about gifts, cool gifts. Nothing surprising.
I have a
the
new-
socks I'm wearing.
Oh, nice.
It's for a gift.
Oh, that's
It's
really
always
cool.
nice. A good gift.
Super
Uh,
nice.
Socks.
Yeah, right. I think when you get excited about socks is when you know you're aging. Because when I was a
What are you
kid,
saying?
because when I was a kid, I would get socks, and I was like, I didn't want. It's like, oh,
I'm
socks.
excited about my socks. It has polar bears on it.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
Can I see your socks? Ooh.
Oh, ankle socks.
Yeah.
In winter?
Wow, that's what I have. That's how I roll, Bart.
It's even worse than not having fun facts.
You
in my
really.
opinion.
Wow.
Oh,
Like
wow. Ankle socks.
Yeah,
No.
that's how the cool kids rolled back in the motherland in Brazil.
20
also
years ago,
got a ring.
maybe.
You got a ring, right?
I actually did. I get an Aura ring as well.
Oh,
So now I joined the club, Bart. There we go. Just like that.
cool,
It's a
cool.
thing. It's a
Yeah.
thing.
Which is
I will
funny.
buy one too. now.
You will?
Yeah.
Now. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
because
next
you
time.
have it. Jonas has it.
And
Bart has it.
how was your sleep? Because the Aura, explain to the listeners what does an Aura ring do?
So Aura ring, it's light. Well, I have for less time. I know you use more of the features than I do, Bart. So feel free to compliment whatever I miss out. But you can almost think of a fitness like a health tracker. A lot of them they are like watch like, and this one goes on your finger. So it tracks your sleep, it tracks your activity. If you're running, it tracks heart rate, O2 saturation. There is a subscription to it. But actually, I was looking. They even have meditation sessions and a lot of stuff. It's really, really cool. And they actually
Nice.
track. I found out this morning as well. Like if you do a meditation session, they would track how your heart rate goes throughout the session, so you can see like if you actually calm yourself down or anything. I thought it was quite interesting. They sent some reminders and whatnot. And the nice thing too is that the battery life of this is much better than an Apple Watch, which I also have. Right, so it's less like Apple Watch is always like popping up with notifications.
Oh,
and
you have an
stuff.
Apple Watch and an O-ring.
I know, and I'm gonna get a heart monitor too to put on my chest.
When I was getting an O-ring, I was evaluating should I get an Apple Watch or an O-ring.
Yeah,
You just go and.
exactly. Just
Okay.
all the above.
And how was your sleeping score last night?
Last night? I think it's funny too because before the podcast, Bart did a presentation about GPT Coach, and he mentions about the Aura Ring, and then he said he didn't want to live stream it because it's too personal. You know, it has I had a bad night's sleep, and then we go on the podcast. How was your sleep, Murillo? Okay, let's see. It was good. I didn't sleep much. 70.
Oh, that's good.
This is good. That's what
That's good.
I literally just read what's there.
And how many hours of sleep is that?
6 hours and 40 minutes. But it tracks like so how long you actually slept. It actually tracks naps. I took a nap the other day and actually said, "Oh, did you take a nap?" Confirm. I was like,
Okay. And what percentage is deep sleep
REM sleep 24%,
and deep sleep?
16%. So that was also
Okay.
very low today.
Who did you sleep with?
Well, now it's getting a bit too with my partner, and at some point my dogs jump on the bed. That's how it usually happens. But like the night before it was 85, so you can see there. But that was cool. That was cool. What about you, Ben? What gifts did you?
Actually, I do have a fun fact because my girlfriend and we bought a house. So we got some
Congrats.
house stuff as a gift, which was kind of nice. Some running gear, but nothing too special, to be honest.
Cool. All right. Without further ado, what do we got for today? So, lawsuits. What do you got, Ben?
Yeah, we're discussing the holidays, and it was in between Christmas and New Year's Eve that we got the news about the New York Times. It was on December 27th when I read an article about the New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft. So they had a claim about copyright issues because OpenAI and Microsoft are using the articles of New York Times, at least they used to do, to train their models. And now, of course, they are producing, based on the prompts, information about these articles. And the New York Times isn't really happy with that. They used to be in negotiations with OpenAI to talk about licensing agreements. They didn't do it after all. And now they are suing them. And if you read the article, I kind of agree with the New York Times a bit because they are discussing 3 types of loss, actually. First and foremost, they are talking about the fact that traffic went down on their websites since the introduction of OpenAI. And it's not really about the fact that they stole or used the articles to train it, but it's more about the fact that they are creating a substitute with it. So people need information, they have a need for information, and they will fulfill the need on ChatGPT and not anymore on the New York Times. But the problem with that is that it's based on the things that New York Times are creating.
Okay. So is it like if I start my blog and I write about stuff that I read, but I only read New York Times, and people start reading more my blog than they read New York Times, then that's kind of comparable?
I would say so. It depends what's your revenue model, right?
Okay.
I think what they are also claiming is that OpenAI trained their model based on paid subscription data. So when you go to the New York Times, you have the free articles, but also the paid ones for which you need a subscription. OpenAI is saying that they are not training their models based on that data. The New York Times is saying that they are doing it. They have some examples of that. They have evidence.
They have
and then,
evidence.
of course, it becomes a bit tricky. They put evidence in the claim.
How can you prove that?
Because they ask about news facts, about historical things that happened to the model, and they give back more
source.
one-to-one references on how it was written in the article. Sometimes also refers to the source.
Okay. And is this like, do you pay for the subscription then?
No, I'm
No?
not a New York Times reader.
So, but there are ways to go around it, right? Because I clicked on an article here, and it says here you have to pay to read it. But I'm pretty sure that, like, I don't know if you go to like incognito or something, you can.
But it's not really the point here, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is like, is there a way in which, like, if, for example, Medium, I know Medium used to work like this, right? They had this, oh, if you want to read more, like usually had X articles, and if you read, say, oh, you want to read more, you need a subscription. But if I went to an incognito window because there's no track, I could still read it, right? That's what some people, not me, not naming names, would do, right? Now, is that illegal? Like, is this, I'm kind of going around the system that they put, right? But is this something like, am I breaking any laws, or is it, you know what I'm saying?
If the next day you build your own magazine with the same content, I would say that this is legal because there's copyright on these articles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, the problem that is stated here, and I think it simply happened, whether or not New York Times, like it happened at a very large scale, a lot of content that was copyrighted, in this case text, but also images, have been taken to train a model.
Yeah.
And that model can now, to some extent, substitute what they're also offering. So they use the content that was copyrighted without their permission to build something that now, to some extent, substitutes what they already do.
But couldn't I say that as soon as they use the copyrighted material, that's where the violation is, and whether they built something or didn't build something, or
well, what they're saying actually now, it's been a while since I read the whole overview, is that what they're demanding is that everything that was built on top of this, that it is no longer used, which would have major implications.
It would be like everything.
Which, yeah, and it's very hard because if this goes. If there is an agreement on this from court, I mean, that would a lot of other parties would follow the same. And that's why this lawsuit, I think, is interesting, because it will set out a bit the legal contours, the legal frameworks for generative AI and what kind of content you can use and you can't use. Because we don't have this legal framework today.
Yeah. And also, I think it's interesting. Well, this is all in the US, right? The US court and everything, but it could impact us as well, right?
Yeah, I read something about the fair use doctrine, which is like a legal principle. I'm reading this, of course, it's a note, that is primarily applicable in the United States. So it states that you can reuse stuff that is copyrighted, but there's a degree to it, and there's not really a good definition about that. But actually, the fact that they are creating a substitute, this is the part that they are really focusing on with the New York Times.
Okay.
But is this a substitute, yes or no? It's a very difficult question, so might take some time to have an answer on this. But I can imagine that for news agencies, because this is one part, let's maybe delve into the other part as well. But the first part is really about revenue loss, and it's subscription revenue loss. It's also lower traffic on their website, so they have less incomes from advertising and so on. And thirdly, they were also mentioning that they have, I think it's called Wiretapper, which is a product review site of the New York Times. And they mentioned that Bing is like reusing their product reviews. And that way, the New York Times is having a loss on the affiliate marketing because they used to have links to the product and they get money for that. So they're also, they have less income because of the reused material of Bing.
I see.
If Bing would have product reviews themselves, it would be different, but they are reusing the content from the New York Times, and still the New York Times doesn't get the affiliate marketing income.
Maybe the thing, like, you're building something that could replace New York Times. Do you think that's because it's not exactly the same, right? Like, it's just a question answering thing. So it's like, okay, I know I'm being devil's advocate here, and but for example, let's say we have Stack Overflow, and then I write a book about programming, and people stop going to Stack Overflow because of my book, and to say, well,
no, but let's take as an example, I think what was not possible at all 2 years ago. If you have a subscription as a company to, for example, Associated Press or Reuters, and you say in between that I put a LLM where you say from all these articles generate an article in a slightly different style with this targeted at this audience, and I'm gonna call this the leuventimes.com, and you suddenly have a new newspaper with very minimal effort.
Yeah.
And like these type of things, they challenge the market, and maybe for good, maybe for bad, I don't know, because it's also today, like, it has two sides. So like, I think here in the New York Times, with content creators in general, there's a big question like, what does this mean for content creation and ownership? And at the other side, if they cannot use all this data, you could question whether or not we would be so far advanced today. So would it hamper development, innovation, competition if you need to adhere to copyright laws? And I think in the specific case of OpenAI, they were very early with this. They also have a bit of a competitive edge because they were so early. So this was not a talking point. Today, this is much more being scrutinized, the copyright aspects. You also have on most websites a robot.txt where you can now specify this should not be crawled by LLMs, and people in the bigger companies are adhering to it. So you also have this bit of this unfair advantage where OpenAI has a base model where there was a huge amount of data available, and they just took everything without any consideration. But at the same time, that's why they're so good. So that is
I think that's the thing that the main thing that leaves a bad taste in my mouth there is that indeed you're kind of increasing the gap between OpenAI and other competitors, because indeed they were the first ones. And if I were to do the same thing that OpenAI did, I probably wouldn't be able to get away with it because it is on people's minds, right?
But I think there is a solution, and I think they know about the solution because you were mentioning the Associated Press. They do have a licensing agreement with them. So they pay the Associated Press to use their data, and then you can still have your advancements in the technology.
OpenAI has an agreement with...
Indeed, OpenAI. Yeah.
But the difficult thing there is that is a solution for New York Times. From the moment that New York Times, that in court there's a decision, New York Times is correct here, there are thousands of parties that can claim the same thing.
Yeah, that's why it's so important. It's really important. I was amazed by the article, and I'm really looking forward to what it will how it will impact the world of AI and LLMs.
Yeah, indeed. I feel like if
you take for example, if you go to the imaging, more the imaging domain, Midjourney V6 was released not long before the holidays, and it is extremely overtrained and very much overtrained on data on which there is copyrighted trademarks. So if you ask an image about the Simpsons in some one shape or another, you get an exact representation of the Simpsons.
Really?
Like this is, but you can do it for a lot of different characters. So there's very clearly that they used copyrighted data. And again, like you can make the argument like it's good for innovation, but at the same time, if you're a creator, like you don't know what's yours anymore. Huh? Like what are people allowed to do with this?
Do you think there will be a New York Times lawsuit moment for Midjourney with the copyrighted images?
I think this is extendable.
Yeah.
I think this is really carving out the contours of what is possible. But like, what is the legal framework for using copyrighted stuff in this context?
Yeah, and also you had mentioned, Ben, before we started recording, that the reputation of New York Times as well is...
there's a second part. So the first part is more based on revenue and the business model, and like I think Bart has a good example about the Leuven digest, or I don't know the Leuven Times.
The Bart Times.
It doesn't really seem fair, right?
Yeah.
And if you were talking about a blog, I really like you, but if you would start a blog, I don't think it will lower traffic on the New York Times. So it's really about that. But the second part is
reality check.
Yeah. It's like, there go my resolutions for 2024.
A second part is indeed about reliability, and it's also part of the claim, by the way. The New York Times states that on Bing, when they are asking for information, oftentimes the New York Times are put there as a source, But the problem is that Bing hallucinates, so it's not only part of the articles, but also a layer on top of it, and it's often incorrect. They also added some examples of that, and what you then get is that people are finding the New York Times unreliable because they associate the outcome of Bing with the New York Times because it was mentioned as a source.
And people are lazy to double check the source.
Of course, and especially you read it and check if it's true or not, right? I can imagine, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's a big problem because I'm working at a media company myself. And for a news agency, the main USP or the main important aspect is to be reliable
Yeah.
and trustworthy.
Hmm.
So that's also something that they add, that it's hallucinating and that it's associated to the source
Yeah.
of the outcome of
It's
the.
hurting the reputation.
Indeed.
Yeah. Maybe to wrap this up, do you think New York Times is going to be successful?
I'm not a legal expert, so
Or maybe if you're to root for someone, what are you rooting for?
I think we will at the very least learn to some extent, like, what are the boundaries? Today we don't know. I think that is the.
And this is in the US, right? Do you think what happens in Europe will be?
they
Will
also
follow
have an
suit?
agreement with, I forgot the name, but it's a German publishing agency. They
Ah.
have Business Insider, amongst others.
Okay.
They also have a licensing agreement with them. So I just think this is the way to go. Just have agreements in place.
Lawsuits.
No. Maybe, yeah. It can be. It can really be an important moment for the development of LLMs.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, maybe in 5 years we will say that it was a good thing that they did this. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought this, I mean, I kind of thought that something was going to happen, but I'm not sure I expected New York Times to be the one to pull the trigger.
who would you expect to?
I'm not sure. I guess it's because for me, it's not a one-to-one. Like whatever ChatGPT outputs is not a one-to-one with New York Times posts. And that's why for me, it was a bit surprising.
But it is an organization that puts tons and tons and tons of investment in creating content,
Yeah. No, for sure.
and you have some other entity just using that content for something.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. I see that part of it. But yeah. And to not change the subject, more about ChatGPT. So not the legal side.
Yeah, another topic today that we can discuss is indeed the ChatGPT store. It went live 2 days ago, I think. And it's definitely something new, something interesting that we should discuss, no?
What is it?
It's kind of an app store for customized GPTs. I think that sums it up very shortly, to be
How
honest.
can I so when I mean customize a GPT, does that mean that I need to have training data and retrain it and then I publish it there? Is it just prompt engineering? What is it exactly?
Well, it's GPT, so it's pre-trained, but you can customize it in a way that it's focused on one or another subject. So, for example, Canva has a ChatGPT app in the ChatGPT store, and there you can ask, for example, to generate an image. It will come up with some proposals, and then you can even click through to Canva. So
Oh, really?
that's something interesting to me in terms of business model, or how businesses will take advantage of the ChatGPT store.
So when you say click through to Canva, you mean I'm on the ChatGPT Canva bot, and then it will give me some, I mean, visuals, I guess, like images, and then I can click through, and it will take me to the Canva portal with stuff. Is that what you mean?
But it's basically so functionality-wise, what you can do is you can build your custom GPTs, and that functionality existed already 2 months ago, I think, roughly. And what you can see it a bit as a GPT, where you have like a pre-existing prompt, so you already gave it some instructions, and you don't see the pre-existing instructions, so you start using it, and so you can define your custom instructed GPT. You can save it. You can edit it later on. And with the store, you now have this worldwide overview of things that are published there, and that people, so that you can more easily find other people's stuff.
And what's the pricing setup there?
I don't think that I haven't seen things that are paid yet. So you can, if you have a Plus account or a Teams account, you can basically already create your own. Unbeknownst to you, the copyright for the Datatopics podcast also comes from a custom GPT. So there's a custom GPT that also has pre-existing instructions that say, this is the type of copy that we typically use. I'm gonna give you these and these notes from the episode. Make sure to structure it like that. So all that instruction in the prompt is already, I did it one time, and now we're using it every time for the copy of the.
And it's on the store.
podcast. It is, well, you can actually choose it. I only publish it for myself, but you can also publish it for everybody. And before the store was there, I could already share it via a link so that other people could use it. But I think the store is really to more easily explore and find stuff. And probably there's also going to be a paid version of things.
Yeah, like if you want to get money from your bot kind of thing.
Yeah, if anyone else wants to use the Datatopics copyright bot.
Yeah. Oof. Business idea.
But you do need a ChatGPT Plus or Teams indeed. And I've read something about the business model as well, that how they would do it is that if you have a well-performing ChatGPT customized bot, then at least if there are many interactions with it, then you get a piece of the cake. So you will be paid out based on the interactions that people have with your app.
Interesting.
But then it's not yet official.
Yeah. Okay.
They still have to announce it.
But then it's basically like a prompting on top of ChatGPT that already exists.
Yeah, and you can also do information retrieval. I think you can also link it up to endpoints. But all that is like pre-configured stuff that
It's not like you send new data, you train more weights, or you take the weight, like you're not something.
Maybe in the future. I don't think you can do that now. No.
Okay. And what if you want to multimodal stuff? Like if you want, like you mentioned Canva, like if I want to create images on the Datatopics style, or if I want to create images on whatever, is this something you can also do?
You're specifically talking for Canva then?
No, not Canva, but I'm wondering. I think Canva is an interesting one because a lot of visual stuff, right? So maybe can you create a bot on the ChatGPT store or the GPT store, whatever the name is, that will be trained to create SVG images or whatever? Is this something like, is it granular to that level that you can change the outputs and how it looks and all these things? Or is it more like prompt engineering? You can maybe take some components that are already there, but it's pretty limited. That's kind of what I want to ask.
I think the way to extend it is via I think what they call it actions, but it's basically you can call endpoints of other services.
Okay.
So in that extension, you can go very far, like with just by integrating APIs of other products and specifying how you send stuff there and what you can do with the stuff that comes back.
Okay, cool.
I think the main idea or the use case is that it offers a lot of reusability. You don't have to do it over and over again. You can just reuse it and not having to configure it every time again.
Are you built? I mean, you mentioned that topics copyright. You have any business idea? New GPT on the GPT store? Ben GPT?
Ben GPT. No, but I've already looked into it, and AllTrails also has a GPT app, and there are some interesting apps there. I'm really looking forward to what will be the top 3 apps in like 3 months.
Yeah, that's
really looking forward.
Any predictions? What it will be about, or any topics, areas, anything that you just give me something so I can come back in 3 months and say, "Oh, Ben."
Difficult. I think Canva will be one of them.
Okay.
But if you look it up on the internet, there are some cool apps being built.
Yeah. And there was already there was the website, like there's an AI for that that already has a lot of stuff. And it kind of like what you're describing, I haven't looked into the GPT store, but it gives me a similar vibe kind of thing. But now it's on the ChatGPT, like centralized kind of thing.
Yeah, what I was saying is that you have businesses like Canva, like Outrails, and so on. And I find it interesting to see because some of them already built their own GPT within their company. For example, at Canva, you have a lot of Gen AI possibilities. It's also probably based on OpenAI, I'm not sure. Sometimes it will be text, sometimes multimodal. But what will they keep on their own platform and what will they put on the app on ChatGPT, and what is their strategy for that? Because there are two things. You can have a good app on the ChatGPT store to have a lot of brand recognition and awareness and so on, and make it a really cool app and go really deep on that. Or you can keep it to the surface and already direct them or redirect them to your own platform really soon. Because what I read is that Canva does it really fast. So they see it as an incoming referring channel.
Yeah.
Canva, for example, you have people coming in through socials, through YouTube, through any other referring medium. And now ChatGPT will be one of them.
What is interesting? So to really see it as a new acquisition channel.
Indeed.
Oh.
To bring in new people. But it's really about where you want to put a focus on.
Yeah, but I guess for them, right? So the GPT from Canva in the store is a free one. You can just go and use it if you have the subscription.
If you have,
something,
yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So I guess they want to still to go to their platform, and maybe they have a pro whatever on their platform.
Indeed.
That's then you're paying them. It's probably interesting. Cool. And action, you mentioned GPT, their actions that uses a REST API, Bart.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how that works? I'm just kind of thinking out loud here.
I think you need to specify the OpenAPI spec of the endpoint that you're integrating, and based on the OpenAPI spec, knows how to use it. You still need to specify what payload do you send to it. But you basically give an endpoint a name. I think that's how it works.
And then whenever you have a prompt that is associated with that name, they know
you
that
can
that's the
basically
endpoint.
link this to it becomes an event that you can use for stuff. So in that way, it's very interesting how they.
Because I think even the OpenAI API, if you were like to code it up, you can even provide functions to it as well, right? Like, so I guess it's something.
Well, I think it's exactly the same.
Okay.
That's how they do it. And what they also have, but maybe that's what you're referring to. So there's also a code interpreter, which is basically a Python shell.
Yeah.
Which is also available in the custom GPTs.
Really cool. And you mentioned these are actions.
The code interpreter is not called an action. Action is the endpoint.
It's the endpoints.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of large action models?
LAMs.
LAMs. Have you ever heard of it?
No, you're going to talk to me about it.
Yes. I am. No, so that's actually from Rabbit R1. So I didn't know about it actually, and I was on Twitter X. I also have some side note a bit. I have some feeling like it's called X.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's not Googleable. Like on my phone, if I want to look for the app, it's like it's horrible. So the logo is X, but even the URL is still twitter.com. It's not even X Twitter. It's just twitter.com. So it's a bit weird, right? But anyways, I digress. I was on Twitter X.
Shitter.
And then I saw a couple of times, I saw this popping up once. One was like a marketing guy that he was saying, I work for a lot of the FANG, marketing. And I think this guy, he's the new Steve Jobs. And I was like, okay, I just kept scrolling. And then I saw again, like, the Rabbit keynote, blah, blah.
It's because the keynote was exactly the same as well. Steve Jobs put it up there.
How was it?
It was definitely inspired by...
oh, really?
Yeah.
Because the guy, he said that, and I was like, he's a visionary, he's revolutionary. And I was like, okay, whatever, right? But then I saw it again on Twitter X. And I was like, let's have a look. And then I went into this the rabbit hole. Get it?
Nice one.
They have the Come on. I'll take that one. Didn't you have the labels on it? There we go. Delayed, but but didn't you put labels on the buttons?
I did. You said Tadoom, and I only saw Punch. Called Punch.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Next time we'll know. I'll just anyways. So I saw it again. So I saw the keynote, and I looked at what the thing was about, and I thought it was interesting.
So what is it? Rabbit R1. What is it?
Yes, it's so there are two parts. The R1 is like a device. So it's a very simple device. I will link the keynote and everything in the show notes, of course. It's like it's orange, so it's like have a funny like looking. It's like a rectangle with a touch display. It has one like scroll kind of thing, a button on the side, and a camera. And the idea they tried to kind of on the keynote they started motivate by saying your iPhone, your phone, whatever, it can do a lot of stuff, right? It's super powerful, but right now if you want to do anything, you need to kind of use different apps for it, right? So sometimes you can be overwhelmed by apps. So sometimes it's not super easy to use those. So you're limited by the operating system. So what he was saying is with the explosion of GPTs and LLMs, he's rethinking kind of like a mobile device that will work only on natural language. It will be catered for that, right? So that's the R1, that's the device, and then they have the other, which is LAM, actually called the large action models, which is a new foundation model. So it's the same thing as like the ChatGPT and whatnot, but it's focused on actions, on create like on performing actions. So you still need to also give the access to the API and stuff for like Spotify and whatnot. And then once you do, you can just kind of talk to it. So they also have GPTs, excuse me, that but they're optimized to work on the hardware that they have. So they have the operating system, the hardware. I'm assuming that it's specialized for these things. So then, like they say that if you talk about it, then you can get an answer much faster than you would if you were to use ChatGPT or something like this. So they that's one of the arguments. They also show how you can hook it up with Spotify or whatever. You just need to give permissions. And that's why I was also fishing. I started with this question, like how does the actions work for ChatGPT? Okay. So I think it's somewhat similar. But it's like it's handheld. There's no, like if you want to use the keyboard, you can. You need to shake it a bit, and then you can get a keyboard and you can type stuff, but it's made to be used with natural language, right? It has a camera as well. So if you take a picture of on the keynote, they show like a fridge and it's like, hey, what can I cook with this? And you take a picture and then it gives you a recipe, right? So it looked really cool.
But do you need different hardware for that?
Depends. If you
this is how Siri should work, right?
Yes, that's also what I was gonna get to. Because after I was trying to find again for this podcast, because on Twitter X they were like, oh, the keynote in 30 seconds if you haven't watched it, because apparently 30 minutes.
Because it's crazy long keynote.
30 minutes? You think it's long?
Like he's holding a device, and I'm thinking, what can the device do? And then you need to wait. And, okay.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'll get to that as well.
Okay, almost sorry.
But then they were like, 30 seconds for a keynote, for the keynote, and then they kind of show all the stuff. So I went to Twitter again to try to find that, so I can have some cheat sheet for this podcast. I couldn't find it, so I'm probably forgetting stuff now. And then I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is a glorified Siri. This is a glorified Alexa." He also mentions this there, right? How basically Alexa, Siri, they should work like this.
Yeah, but maybe those are two separate things. Like I think Siri is horrible. I have the feeling it becomes worse every month. Get more and more frustrated, and I think Apple needs to get this shit together.
Do you use it?
I less and less. To be honest.
You did use. I never use.
Less and less.
Yeah.
But I think that will improve, right? Like that should improve, and I think we will go to a direction where you can do much more voice interaction with your phone.
Yeah.
Where you can say, I'm going to go into a meeting and have a busy day, make sure to mute all my notifications, but just if I have a delivery coming up, so if the doorbell rings, let the notification pass only for today. And that's something that is very easy to say out loud. It's super hard to configure. Like I think for these type of things, I want to go skiing and not that far off. There's not always snow. Make sure that if you notice that there's any snow, alert me a week in advance. Like just talking out loud. But these type of things that I would like to know, that today require a lot of conscious action.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right.
But also is like the thing that they also defend on the keynote is that sometimes there are actions you want to do or simple things, but they require more than one app, and the apps don't talk to each other.
Not today. No,
today.
True, but I think today we have a gap there.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they also, and that's actually the most interesting thing that I thought, because he was saying like if you were to, at least what I understood is, if you were to design the iPhone today, we have GPT models, we see the natural language is prevailing, right? It's very accessible for everyone. if you were to redesign it today, how would it look like? And that's what they came up with.
But maybe those are, maybe it is something that for some people can live in isolation, like separate from your mobile phone as it is today.
Ah, yeah, they also
Because I don't think everybody will stop swiping tomorrow,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like there is still a need for screens and to read information. But like I would be very happy to have all of examples that I just say. If I have a Star Trek styled badge that I can do, that I can talk to, like Rabbit a little bit is, right?
yeah.
That,
It's quite big, right?
it's quite
The
big.
device.
It's bigger than a smartphone.
Yeah, it's like a square as
What
well.
do we think of the design?
It's a bit quirky, but it's like it feels like a Game Boy to me.
Yeah, it seems like they're targeting children. No?
Yeah, even the name is like Teenage Ninja.
Oh.
I'm a major fan.
Yeah, you like it. You like
I'm
the
a
design.
major fan. So the design, well, actually, the electronics company behind it is Teenage Engineering.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Teenage Engineering.
Because
really?
it looks like
For
a toy.
years, for
It's-
years.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It looks nice,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't bring it with me because it's just too big.
But then it's a size thing. It's not a design thing.
Yeah, I was more talking about the design. I'm a very big fan of Teenage Engineering.
I think it looks fun, but it's like if you go to a bank and you talk to the CEO, you don't expect him to pull something like that out. You see what I'm saying? It's more like playful.
And with a CTO.
Yes, CTO is okay.
But
Bart.
they have they're very well known for their OP1, which is something completely different. So I think they only did the design for the Rabbit, the hardware maybe.
Yeah.
But the OP1 is really their product, and the OP1 is like a quirky music device. And I've been fawning over it for the last 5 years, and I always think, it's too expensive. I'm not gonna use it enough.
Hint,
But
hint
it's,
for Bart's birthday.
But so yeah, major fan of Teenage Engineering.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks like it looks playful. I don't have a, but actually, like, so going a bit back to the R1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
The other so they mentioned like the communication across like different applications, right? So if you say, hey,
Mhm.
I want to go to Brazil next week, can you book a ticket, book a hotel, do all these things? Ideally, we'll do all these things for you.
Fully agree. Yeah.
Right, and you can ping and
very
you
nice.
just confirm. You confirm the stuff.
I think they played on something that is missing today, yeah, and that is easier to achieve with GPT-like technologies.
I agree.
They're very smart on that. Yeah.
I agree. And they also mention indeed that they don't see this as replacing your phone, even though they do compare it to a phone. So it's a bit, it's like
and the pricing, I forgot what it was, but when I looked at it, I thought,
Yes.
this is quite accessible for.
what
was it again?
$200.
Oh.
No subscription.
That's okay to play with, right?
No subscription.
No subscription.
How do they have? Do they use mobile to sell?
So
or?
they have some they have a server for sure, because they even said like, oh, we don't store your data, but like you just give access to like Spotify, and you need a Spotify subscription, I guess. But they don't have a subscription at all. That's at least what they're advertising. So it's 200,
Interesting.
no subscription, which means it's cheaper than most smart devices.
It's probably a bit to get actual users, right?
Yeah. So now it's the pre-order. So, and this is dollars. I think for Europe it will be a bit less actually, but then they ship here, and I think it's only pre-order now, so it will get here by Easter. And another cool thing that they showed. So they showed on the keynote that I also want to circle back a bit if you have time. That they also show you how you can train a new flow, but the way that they showed, at least it's almost like you do a screen share.
Okay.
So for example, the example they give is to create images using Midjourney. So they go on the Rabbit UI. They put the Discord, because the Midjourney is a Discord server, right? Like it's like a chatbot that you send stuff and he gives images back. So you put the URL there, and then it's like almost like the Rabbit is watching your screen, and then you type whatever you want to type, and you wait for the image to be generated, and then you say that's the image that I want, and then from that point on, it knows how to interact with it. Like you can say, hey, generate an image with Midjourney about something else, and it would generate it for you. So that's how you create new workflows. Yeah. And this is all using their hardware, all using their the hardware, the operating system, the device, and all these things. So I thought this was actually very cool. And about the keynote, I know that you mentioned that's a bit long, and I do know what you're saying, like how sometimes like he's showing something and they don't edit much or at all. So it's like you really wait for the guy. Sometimes they have the camera on his hand and you can even see it shaking a bit because he's just holding on his hand, So sometimes it feels a bit like you're waiting for nothing. Like you didn't have to wait, I just wanted to see the result. But at the same time, I feel like looking at the Gemini announcement, I feel like it gave me a feeling more like, okay, this is closer to what I can expect.
Hmm.
You know?
See what you mean, yeah.
Because if there was too much editing, especially after Gemini, I would be like, oof, I don't know, right? Like you're running an LM on this device, like this thing that is bigger than an iPhone, but it's still not a computer, right? And
Yeah.
So this was very authentic and raw.
well,
That's what
yeah,
you mean.
it was still polished, right?
Mhm.
Like you can still see, but to me, it still looked like they were literally recording on the spot, which gave me a bit more confidence,
So,
right?
yeah.
Have you heard about it before?
No,
Because I never heard about it, and suddenly it came up.
True.
And now
Same for me.
It was a real bomb.
Same for me, yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy.
But that's the thing. For what I described in the beginning, I was on Twitter. I saw one and I was like, well, whatever. And then I saw it again and I was like, whoa, let me take a look.
Someone said this is the iPhone moment for AI hardware.
Who said that?
Someone on Twitter. I don't
Okay,
know.
I thought I'd say that by like.
No. But it was a news agency as well, I think.
Yeah.
I don't
I saw.
recall.
Yeah.
Marilla was thinking, well, was I so inspiring?
He remembered.
But you actually have another. You have like this device that you clip on as well, which is also very much LM based, which was a bit of a first few months ago, and I don't know where they're at actually.
I don't
It's,
know.
Yeah.
I know that,
but it doesn't have a
is-
screen. It was really just purely audio. It's a bit the same, but a bit the same use cases.
It's becoming more of a discussion point. I feel like you can see more and more about AI hardware, but what it really entails, it's still difficult for me to grasp.
They also mentioned, like you mentioned, the clip. They also mentioned the Ray-Ban from Meta.
Yeah.
Right. Which is another thing that to me, like I heard about it in like an announcement, but I don't hear as hype. I don't see. Oh yeah, I want to get it. I don't see. It's a bit. It's tougher. It's tougher.
Because it was CES, right? 2 days ago or something.
The Meta glasses?
No, CES, like it's a yearly event for hardware announcements in the
I'm
US.
not sure. I don't know. But yeah, this kind of came out of the blue. I was also.
So will you buy it, Bart?
The rabbit, you mean? No,
You will not.
not for now.
I was tempted.
I don't think I'm gonna use it much at this stage. It's cool for its gadget factor, but I fully agree.
Yeah, but I was also like,
I need to buy the OP1 before I buy this one.
OP1 is the teenage engineering thing.
If I'm gonna throw money away for some gadget stuff, then it's gonna be that before I do the Rabbit R1.
Yeah, but the Rabbit R1, I mean, to me is like $200. To me, it's cheap.
Oh, you're like that. I'm
Well,
Dutch, yeah.
He has a ring and a watch.
Exactly.
That's
And now,
true. Yeah, that's
and I was
true.
gonna
He
say now,
doesn't
as soon
care.
as I have the iPhone and the pocket, the Rabbit R1 thing, I'll just be like,
He
full
can
of,
buy socks, but
no,
it's
socks
a
out.
gadget. And
The money stopped at the knee, and then no money for that. No, I was thinking about it. I was tempted. Not gonna lie. Still, the verdict's still out as well, right? Like maybe after the first.
But so next month you are gonna be sitting here with the R1.
But this is still the pre-order.
Oh.
So they're only gonna deliver in Easter in the US. So it will
Mm.
be even after that. But
So I think because of this, the design comes from Teenage Engineering, it will only be worth more in the future.
you think so?
I think so.
Just because it's the design has nothing to do
Just
with the
design.
product. Like
No product. I think it will be very quick. Like this will go very fast. Huh? Just looked it up. The pin I meant, it's actually called the AI pin by Humane.
yeah.
And you will see a lot of these type of things popping up. I'm interested to see what.
One thing that they do on the Rabbit R1 as well, if you're having a call with the thing, they do real-time translation.
Oh wow! So you can have a call in another language.
Exactly.
Oh wow! This is really Star Trek era.
Yeah.
actually, you can do it with Google Duet as well.
Really?
Yeah,
In a Google Meet.
indeed.
Wow!
Really?
So what it can do is you are speaking French and I am speaking Spanish, for example.
Do you speak Spanish?
Un poco.
Oh. Oh.
And so if I speak Spanish and you can see the subtitles in French.
But
Oh, nice.
subtitles.
So the transcription, it's not The output is not speech; it's text indeed.
Okay.
But
If it
still,
would be,
it's
and,
quite
but
nice.
and with a rabbit, it's
I think
real-time
I think it's
speech.
speech.
That's
I think it's
impressive.
speech.
That's impressive indeed.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, the Google Do It feature
Duet in general is
very underwhelming.
is subpar.
indeed.
Huh?
Yeah.
If you compare it to ChatGPT, it's really subpar.
If you compare it to
Copilot,
Copilot, yeah, we're doing it right now,
Yeah.
and it's a huge difference.
Yeah. I think
that's maybe a nice topic for the next episode.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. But I think unfortunately it's time for what we have today. Maybe do we have time? Do you both have a bit of time to play the
Yeah, sure.
quote or no quote?
Go ahead.
Hit it. All right. So what is quote or not quote? Again, not the name I chose, but that's I guess what we're going with. The idea is with the LLMs, making advancements, can we fool people? The Turing test, like, so the idea is that we have a known character,
Okay.
a person, musician, whatever, and we have 2 fake quotes and 1 real quote. Sometimes it flips, but the idea is that we have a mix of fake and real quotes, and then it's our job to identify what is the real quote, what's not. So next time, a long time ago, Mariam actually was the big winner. So I asked her, would you be so kind to create a few quotes? And she did.
The problem with this challenge is that history shows I'm very bad at this.
Yes, you, Bart, you're amazing at a lot of stuff. This is not one of them.
But this really questions my future. Like, so much is now AI generated in terms of content. I really can't differentiate. It makes me ask some questions about myself.
Yeah. I don't know if we have time to get into that today, but I agree. All right. So who are we talking about today? We're talking about Master Shifu from Kung Fu Panda. You know?
Ooh, I know the character, but I never saw the...
Okay. And actually, I have to say, I know which one is real. So Mariam already told me. So I will not participate. Okay. But I'm very curious to see if she can fool one of you.
So I need to think, without any context, I need to think about like what would...
She's the Master Shifu. It is Kung Fu Panda movie.
It comes from Pixar, right?
Is it Pixar? Like, really? That's the first question? Like this?
But if it's like it comes from something
Disney.
that is kids oriented, right?
Yeah, it is kids oriented.
I never saw it, so I need to think a bit about like what would be normal tone of voice.
I saw it many years ago.
Yeah?
What do you think? Will it be easy, or is it quite straightforward or not?
Oh, I'll let you decide. So 1 is real.
So you're gonna give 2 or 3?
3. 1 is real, 2 are fake. You have to find the real one.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's go.
First quote: a true warrior finds peace not in victory, but in the heat of the battle. Heat of battle. Actually, that's the...
I can see a Kung Fu Panda saying that.
Yeah, but actually no. So the Master Shifu is not a panda. Just
Oh.
I don't know if it's relevant, but
What does Master Shifu do?
let me...
Is it an animal?
It is. They're all animals.
This is an important aspect.
Yes, I can show you. This is the...
Oh, it's a red panda.
Yeah, red panda, exactly. That's actually what it says right here.
So this is panda. It's
It
Kung
is.
Fu Panda.
Yeah, that's true. Scratch when I said that. Well, that's what it says, but it doesn't really look much like a red panda, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, but it's tiny. It's a tiny thing.
And it is a Kung Fu master.
Yes,
Okay.
it's like kind of like Yoda. Well, you know Star Wars,
I
right?
know
Bart?
Yoda, yeah.
So it's like Yoda, but in the animal kingdom.
Can
and it's
you
Kung
say the
Fu.
quote again?
A true warrior finds peace not in victory, but in the heat of battle.
I can see him saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, oh yeah, he said that yesterday actually.
I know him.
Yeah. So this is the second one. Before the battle of the fist comes the battle of the mind.
Ooh, that's a bit far-fetched, no? I can imagine this being a model output.
Okay.
Can you repeat?
There's one more, and then I'll repeat. I'll repeat all of them afterwards. But last one is
so
I
important.
don't think that a Kung Fu master would speak about the battle of the fist. I think it sounds a bit aggressive. I think a Kung Fu master is more
about the mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is too easy, Murillo.
Well, it was Mariam, so there's nothing. I take no credit or what's the opposite of that?
Can you do this in the tone of voice of
I don't know.
Master Shifu?
I don't know.
Let's try the third one.
I don't know how his voice is like.
Like a Red Panda would sound. Huh?
Can you give me an example?
No. Go ahead.
Last quote. Inner peace is not found. It's baked like a perfect dumpling.
Dumpling.
Adding a dumpling.
Is it dumpling in Japanese?
Are you asking me? Why, Bart?
But why would you?
But you have Japanese heritage, right? It's okay.
I'm half-blooded Japanese. That is correct.
Is it dumpling Japanese?
I
It's
don't,
Chinese,
I
no?
don't think so. Yeah, I think.
I think Chinese,
I
yeah.
think Chinese. I think
And
Chinese.
Kung Fu is Japanese, right?
I don't think so.
Right.
Is it?
I hope so. Otherwise, I'm not gonna look very. Marilo, you should know this. Like you're 50% Japanese. You need to look this up.
Yeah.
If you
it's
need to look
Chinese,
this
you
up,
know,
then it's okay.
Chinese,
No,
It's
no, no.
Chinese. It's Chinese.
What is Chinese?
Obviously.
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At
And
least
dumplings?
that's what Wikipedia says. I looked up Kung Fu origin and it came up Chinese martial arts. So I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Everybody loves Kung Fu. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's yeah. There we go.
Hmm.
All right. So one last time. First quote: a true warrior finds peace not in victory, but in the heat of battle. Second quote: before the battle of the fist comes the battle of the mind. Third: inner peace is not found; it's baked like a perfect dumpling.
I could see animated characters saying that though.
Indeed.
The last one. Well, it is.
It's fun for children and so on.
Yeah,
to
it's a
have-
child's thing, right? Yeah.
And there are two real and one fake.
One real, two fake.
One real, two fake. I'm gonna say the dumpling one is real.
Okay. Final answer.
Final answer.
Just trying to get into Bart's head.
This is the correct one.
Okay.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Which one? All of them?
Yeah.
A true warrior finds peace not in victory, but in the heat of battle. It's one. The battle of the before the battle of the fist comes the battle of the mind. That's two. Inner peace is not found; it's baked like a perfect dumpling. That's three.
It's a bit boring if I go for 3-2. So I will go for 2.
For two, before the
Yeah.
battle of the fist comes the battle of the mind. Final answer?
No.
No.
I'm gonna go for 3-2. I want to win this.
Okay, so three, and you were both wrong.
Ah,
Can you do the quack quack? Ouch. You know what's even more disappointing, Ben? You would have been right. The second
two?
one is correct. The second one is the real
Damn.
one. So. Still don't know how this sound fits in any context, but okay. So yeah, the second one is before the bell of the fist comes the bell of the mind. So Mariam is really the big winner. So congrats
Mariam.
to Mariam. I'll see if she can keep the ball rolling for next time. But that's pretty much it for today. Anything else you want to say before we call it up?
thanks everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you. And happy,
Thanks Ben for joining.
Thanks, Ben, for joining. Happy
I'm happy to
2024.
join.
Hope to see you back soon
Sure.
with the checking the predictions about the GPT store, and I'll be with my Rabbit R1.
Yes.
All
Would
right,
be nice.
let's do it.
See
Thanks,
you.
y'all.